Thank you. Thank you so much. And now, I have the honor and the privilege of introducing our next speaker. And I really can't do her justice because she is amazing. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about her so that you can help me welcome her to the stage. Our next speaker, Helena Lourdes Donato Sapp. Helena is a 13-year-old activist. She is an author, a speaker, artist who believes that the next generation can and must tackle topics such as racism, ableism, homophobia, misogyny, poverty, and climate change. I've only spent a few moments with Helena this morning, and of course I watched her YouTube videos, but I already love her. I already love her, and I know that you will love her too. So please join me in welcoming and giving a warm NEA welcome to Helena Lourdes Donato Sapp. Join me, family.
Before I even begin, it feels important to me to say a big I love you to unions. I may be 13, but I know my history, and union work has run deep in my family for generations. I've grown up on stories of my great-grandfather and his union work as a coal miner in the great state of West Virginia. And my grandmother raised me on stories of John Lewis. My papa is a retired flight attendant for United Airlines and volunteered for years to mediate labor disputes for fellow flight attendants. And my dad is an educator just like you, and an active member of the California Faculty Association. My Lola has told me about my Filipino relatives who worked as fruit pickers in Fresno, Delano, and Bakersfield, California. And because of this, I feel a deep commitment to the United Farm Workers. So before I say anything at all, I'm compelled to be direct and tell you face to face that I love you. Thank you to the NEA for inviting me to speak today and showing that you value the power of youth voices. Thank you to Princess Moss for that introduction. As I read about you before today, I saw that we have something in common. And it is something that we have in common with every single educator here today. We believe in the power of storytelling. I was born 2 months early and weighed only 2.5 pounds and had a tough beginning to my life. I had multiple brain bleeds. I had heart surgery at 10 days old. I spent my first 2 months of life in the local hospital NEA, and I was kept on oxygen and a heart monitor for my first full year of life. I was adopted at birth by 2 queer dads who seemed not to be that overwhelmed my first day of life, even though the doctors gave a grim report. My dad, who, by the way, is a 43-year veteran of teaching, looked into my papa's tear-stained eyes my first day of life and said to him, "If Helena has special needs, that only means that we will be introduced to a new and loving community." And here I am, speaking to you, my loving community. My two fathers' response to a difficult birth is an important part of my narrative because it shows you exactly where my positive identity formed. Fast forward to kindergarten. Fast forward to kindergarten. One day, I came home and said to my dad that I wish I had long blonde hair like my best friend in school. My parents simply walked me to our full-length mirror, and my parents modeled for me what has become a major family value for us. They instructed me to look into the mirror and say the following out loud to my hair: "I am sorry, hair. I love you, hair." I can stand here and say today that I have never heard a negative comment about my body in my home. Not one. And that is why I can stand before you today with such strength and with the most beautiful locks you have ever seen. But let me be frank with you. The world outside my home isn't as kind to me and to kids like me. And that includes the world of school. I need help from everyone in this room. Teachers, those who serve our lunches, those who give me my first smile of the day in the front office, those who get me safely to school, those who provide me with the learning supports that I need to be successful, to make school a better place for kids like me. Fast forward to the end of first grade, and my teacher suggested to my parents that I be tested for learning disabilities. That summer's testing showed that I had a visual processing disorder and a working memory disorder. That means that it is difficult for me to track things visually from the board to my notes and from the text to the worksheet. And my working memory disorder means that it takes a lot of gentle over-teaching for me to get things. I always do get things, by the way. It's just... It's just that I am not fast, and a few educators, and certainly many of my peers, think that fast equals smarter. I don't believe that, but they do. Fast forward to the summer going into middle school, and I was retested, and I was also found to have dyscalculia and ADHD. I'm a veteran activist at the age of 13. I have won a global award for disability justice. As one of the leaders in the world lifting up disability pride. I'm the youngest recipient of this award to date. I won a National STEM Award and have been called one of the most brilliant voices in STEM. And science is, after all, my favorite subject. So. Along with my two dads, we won the Generations Award from a prestigious think tank, an award that honors the work of multiple generations of the same family working for justice and equity in the world. And recently, I won an award from the Abolitionist Teaching Network for my work in confronting ableism in schools. And if you want to know why I'm a veteran activist at the age of 13, it is because the world brings the fight to my front door. I am also an accomplished youth scholar with chapters published in esteemed books on Black girlhood, queer families, and feminism. I've published peer-reviewed journal articles on disability justice and decolonizing my elementary education. A scholarly interest I have is on the concept of intersectionality. Intersectionalities are just the different categories we belong to. Most people just name the big three: race, class, and gender. But there are many others: likability, citizenship, language, faith, immigration, family structure, sexuality, ethnicity, and age. All of these affect how much power we have in different contexts. These overlapping identities also increase a child for discrimination and disadvantage. I've shared some of my personal intersectionalities with you already. I am a girl. I was born with special needs. I am adopted. My birth parents were Haitian immigrants. I'm beautifully Black. I am dark-skinned Black. I have queer fathers. One of my fathers is a Filipino immigrant. My other father was raised in severe poverty in West Virginia. And I have multiple and invisible learning disabilities. I'm not just one thing, I am many things. And this is true for each and every student in your schools. We bring multiple intersectional identities to you, and you meet us with your own multiple intersectional identities as well. It is because of my intersectional identities that I'm a veteran activist working to end sexism and misogyny. I also fight to end racism and anti-Blackness and colorism. I'm not immune to homophobia because I have two dads. I rail against ageism every day because some adults don't think young people are capable of intelligence, of scholarship, of activism, and of speaking truth to power. And I work hard every single day to lift up my learning disabilities as my superpowers, because if I don't do that, the world will see me less than I am. As a child with my intersectional identities, school has not been easy for me. I'm going to use my learning disabilities to illustrate this, but just know that I could have used race, class, gender, family structure, and other identities as well. Even though school requested that I be tested for learning disabilities. After I tested and those learning disabilities were identified, I feel like school held them against me. Like many other schools that do not have enough teachers and resources, it is hard to have an IEP implemented. Elementary school was particularly difficult. Just like many other educators, my teacher had too many students and did not have the resources needed to provide me with the support I needed to help me with my dyscalculia. Even this 8th grade year, I had to jump through all these hoops to get a new IEP, and it took a lot of meetings and time. After I got the new IEP, and my parents asked for an element of it to be implemented. Like so many others with disabilities, my school didn't have the needed resources and found it difficult to provide me with the individualized accommodations that I needed. That is not how IEPs and accommodations are supposed to work. I'm 13 and I know that. School is tough, but I'm tougher. I've proved those who expected less of me by having straight A's in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. I hope I represent a new generation of students coming into your classrooms who will need your support and your help. We, both students and educators, will not stand to be diminished because of any of our identities, and that most definitely includes our fabulous, wonderful, glorious learning disabilities. I'm fond of telling the story of a video that went viral a few years ago, and maybe some of you have seen it. It showed the UCLA's basketball team. One of the players, Moses Brown, made a bad pass and his team lost the ball. He hung his head in disappointment and shame. But another one of his teammates, a guy named Jalen Hands, walked up to Moses, placed his hand under his chin, and tilted his head back where it belongs. Although it is just a split-second clip for that moment, I can't think of a better image to give you and to tell you what disability justice means than the image of Jalen helping Moses lift his head up high. I'm a disability justice activist, and I hold my head up high about each of my disabilities. I refuse to have any veil of shame placed on me. And the goal of my work for disability justice is to model to all children to refuse any veil of shame, of deficit ideology, and to replace it with the armor of self-worth. I kind of want to be gentle with you all. I come from a family that deeply, deeply loves and respects the difficult work of educating children. I can honestly look out into this crowd of educators, and I see my own dear teachers who taught me to read and write, who taught me about why it is important to have good citations and not to plagiarize. Who taught me about the power of archetypes, who inspired me to love the periodic table of elements, and who have gently said to me more than once that whatever you do to one side of the equation and since I have a dad teacher, I know how tough it is to be an educator. So I do want to be sensitive and gentle with you. At the same time, I am an activist, and it is my job to be fierce and speak truth to power. I mean, come on, this is some kind of weird opportunity for an 8th grader to be speaking to a few thousand. So then, as gently as I can, with all due respect, I am compelled to say to you that I am not a problem body, and I am not a problem mind. I am a worthy body, and I am a worthy mind. Please put students first. I know that because of testing that you are all tasked with putting content first. But please, put us first. Put caring first. Do not diminish or underestimate me because I have learning disabilities. Because with your correct, positive disposition, I will work harder for you than anyone you have ever known. But only if you put caring first. Those of us with disabilities, and we are so many. Some who have been lucky to be diagnosed like myself, and others who deeply struggle and don't know why yet. We deserve a fair chance at a good education. The world favors those who are quick and those who are made for school. We see the way society loves them more than us. We see it in a glance. We feel the negative energy. Please, help kids like me. By the time I was in 3rd grade, I could already define deficit ideology. That is such an incredible and ridiculous statement that I'm just going to take a long pause and say it one more time. By the time I was in 3rd grade, I could already define deficit ideology. And I'm standing here to tell you all, gently and fiercely, that kids like me will no longer allow ourselves to be diminished because of our learning disabilities. Or any of our intersectional identities. We need your help. We are learning how to self-advocate, and we will be kind about it, but fierce about it, but kind about it, but fierce about it, but kind about it, but fierce about it. I stand before you today as one child, but I represent millions of children. I do not speak for them, only for myself, as I believe that it is time for all of us to rise up as a movement. Everyone experiences ableism differently. There are many voices in this movement, not just mine. All I ask is that you help us and educate those who hinder us. All I ask is that you support us and advocate for us. All I ask is that you lead us and love us. All I ask is that you believe in us and in each other, and that you support us when others belittle us. All I ask is that there is no veil of shame put upon us, but that you help armor us with worthiness. Society often sees a child with learning disabilities as a problem body and a problem mind. I'm something to handle. I'm a disturbance. And because of these unprofessional dispositions, it should not surprise you that my peers then take the lead from others, and they also begin seeing me as a problem body and a problem mind. This has led to so much bullying for me, and it is one of the reasons that anti-bullying is one of my scholarly and activist stances as well. One peer announced to everyone in my 4th grade class that I was the dumbest in our class. Another time, in 7th grade, we had this difficult test in our history class, and everyone got a horrible grade, and the whole class was upset. Some of the girls asked me what grade I got, and I said I got an A. And then they just laughed in my face and said, well, that has to be a mistake. This is a major point I make as a disability justice activist, and that is when you have learning disabilities, you just can't win. Do poorly and need help, then you are a problem body and a problem mind that needs to be handled. Do well, and you still get slapped down because some people in the school setting sees you only as a deficit. I have an IEP, and yes, I get time and a half on testing. But when I get the accommodations that I need, my peers give me what I call the death stares. That suggests that I am somehow cheating or getting extra privileges. You just can't win. Outside of school, I am a globally and nationally award-winning activist and scholar, and a sought-after speaker. But inside of school, I feel like I am seen as a problem body and a problem mind. Surely you see the mismatch. Surely you see that I am not the deficit, that systems create the deficit. There have been years where I had no one to turn to at all, and school was the lonely place I just lived from 8 to 3. Now with the advocacy work my parents and I do together, I have safe adults on campus, who I refer to as my champions. My family and I had to do years of relationship building to find ourselves in this good place today. Imagine if I did not have to fight off the bullies and entered a school already filled with champions. Imagine if I did not have to spend my resources and energy in hostile hallways and overburdened classrooms, but could spend it on learning content. Imagine if my peers treated me with dignity and respect instead of diminishment and disregard. Listen, I have a big imagination, and even I find it hard to imagine such a school as I just dreamed of. And that is exactly why you and I, student and educator, must work together for disability justice. Please, be a champion for children like me. I must mention a few things about assessments. I don't trust them. I had an early reading teacher who told my parents that she was concerned about my reading because of how low my reading scores were. I proved the assessments wrong. My parents surrounded me in books I loved, and I have grown up reading day and night. That assessment was wrong. One of the doctors who assessed me told us that I would never play a ball sport because of my visual disorder. I was captain of my volleyball team this year and on our basketball team. On our basketball team and throw shot put and javelin in track and field. That doctor was wrong. I've had so many people tell me and my parents that I can't do this or that, and I've done this or that just fine, thank you very much. I wrote my own position paper on the violence of standardized testing in 4th grade. And opted out of all standardized testing since then. I happen to know quite a lot about decolonizing education because I have published an original 90-page research article on it in a peer-reviewed journal. And I'm here to tell you that we need to decolonize and rethink assessments in schools. For kids with disabilities, assessments are so awful, and they never measure us well. I wonder how you feel about assessments. One other point must be made. I don't stand before you as a worthy child because I have made straight A's for the last 3 years. Please do not make the mistake that I am worthy because I have won global awards for activism and national awards in STEM. Please do not make the mistake that I am worthy because I have enough scholarship to go up for tenure at a university. Please do not make the mistake that I am worthy because I am the keynote speaker today at a major conference for the largest labor union in America. I stand before you today as a child in America who attends school. And the reason that I am worthy is because I am a child in your school. My presence alone makes me worthy. Every child is worthy. And honestly, society does not yet see me as worthy. I feel like even my school mostly sees me as a problem. It is exhausting to have to deal with that on top of homework. Seriously, it is. I need your help. We need your help. We must work together to end discrimination for students with disabilities. Please, will you join me in the work of disability justice?
Yes!
Making sure that we are always included, fight for our rights, that barriers to success are removed, and to help those like me with disabilities lead the way. Will you be a champion? Thank you for listening to me. Thank you to the NEA who by inviting me into this keynote, have demonstrated why you are the greatest union in the nation. Thank you to my parents, and thank you to all of the educators who have believed in me. And thank you for letting me love you, while at the same time be fierce with you. My name is Helena Donato Sapp, and I believe that my disabilities are my superpowers.
Wow. Thank you, Helena. You are amazing. You are brilliant. We are lucky to have shared this time with you. One more